answers of an alien from Andromeda, video 137, October 9, 2015. Sorry for the absence, but lot is being done elsewhere and a limited number of crews to unfold. Sometimes contact CB but only for brief affairs. Today I will try to narrow the list of questions that weigh in his hands, encompassing many questions in few explanations. Mythi, in our society today we have reached a good level of technology. You believe that we are next to be part of an interplanetary context? According to NASA, our supercomputers are advanced enough to control a spaceship. Excuse me, but the technological level of you is still below the level archaic to us. Your technology is dependent on electric power and communication satellites. And over time, you guys will realize that Einstein's relativity theory is conceptually wrong because it does not apply to quantum physics. Let me give an example of technology. A simple pebble like that I gave to CB could be programmed at the molecular level to store thousands of terabytes of information, perform functions controlled by your brain wave, communicate with any display device, network, printer, audio, everything as you guys called blue touch without the need for wires or electricity, forever. Another small pebble could do the simple role of a heating element with an intense molecular vibration generating heat by friction without being connected to any power source, heating the water to one of your homes, forever. Another pebble could act as a generator attracting free electrons of your atmospheric natural ionization and provide the positive electrical current of electrons to flow between it and the grounded point to your own soil on the planet, forever. As anybody can feel, a lot can be done easily with the quantum programming of matter, and any basic necessity of a society can be met with ease. In your current society the control of the energy system belongs to governments. It's a way to maintain and subjugate society. The electric power generated by any means that you guys use depend on a broad and expensive network of distribution, which most often is not fair. The worst, in addition to the burning of mineral fuels, steam production using atomic fusion materials is the most pernicious and harmful way, because as they do not dominate quantum programming decided that the controlled atomic fusion would be a cheap and lasting way to make energy to sell. The problem is that this process is not always controllable on a planet passing through destabilization of crust development, and generate waste that continue polluting the environment with materials transformed into unstable radiation emission pumps harmful to living beings. All this will have an end soon. Unlike the technological level among you and other interstellar cultures is still brutal. The development will only accelerate when you guys can participate in an integrated development under the supervision of CG in this region. Mythi, is there any technological possibility of imprisoning a spirit or a soul in quantum state? Theoretically it exists. But it's practically impossible. The only possibility I can think of would be to use the same type of container that keeps stored antimatter, but this is not available, for this type of programming is only developed by scientists at level 8 upwards. It is impossible to open one of these units to put whatever is inside it because the closure would be impossible outside the official factory. Mythi, our satellite's clocks go out of sync with the clocks on the Earth's surface due to relative effects. We discovered that time is linked to a gravity well. That is all we know so far about measurable effects on time. I would still like you to explain how time flows differently on your world compared to our world. See, what do you guys use as timing, are references relating to your own solar system. Every second you guys come here has the same length on this second anywhere in the third dimension universe in relation to your solar system. Even your decimal unit is on the arbitrary measure someone took before, that you guys divided by 100. Your millimeter does not correspond to the same length of decimal units in any other planet. But the decimal system as unit of measurement is correct. Your watches are manufactured with gears relationship that divide the time of one planet's revolution and shows the result on a display. Even in your electronic watches, you use the beat frequency of the quartz crystal and divide it to correspond to the time of your peculiar time measurement system to your own planet. This time is the amount of time spent relative to any point on the surface of the planet, because when you distance of the planet and remains with the angle of 90 degrees unchanged, your relative time measurement will remain the same from the surface. But if there are angulations and speed as variables, the relative time will also vary, not the actual time but duration of the relationship of your days and nights. If you spend a year on another planet with short or long days, and measure the time you got there with one of your watches, when you return to your planet will have passed the same exact time 1 year out. Bear in mind that time in the universe is a constant in any measure regionally invented to measure it. I mentioned long ago that the measure adopted by other systems is the speed of propagation of infrared light in vacuum. It equalizes the system of measures of any kind taking this relationship as a base. It is easy to convert when the systems can be related to a common baseline measurement as on any planet you know as they correspond to your meter. Mythi, these out-of-place objects have some special function or are they just art? These stone artifacts are apparatuses of communication. They must have been given as a gift to any of your ancient cultures. The compositions of these black stones are excellent for this type of molecular programming. Mythi, you said in earlier videos that on the third dimension exist 10 levels of frequency, so could you tell us what breeds of aliens are on this higher levels? Humanoids? Greys? Insects? Also on this higher levels, what is their main difference over us? Races who have achieved level 10, are at a very high level of personal energy, can now manipulate matter and quantum energy in all ways and directions. The humanoid races get there in far greater proportion than races from other sources, as insectoid lead approximately 20 times longer and reptilian about 5 times. The humanoid brain has naturally developed areas that take a long time to develop in other types of brains, even if superbrains in several other areas. It may be hard for you guys to understand, but when they reaches levels 8 to 10 differences between origins, humanoid, reptilian or insectoid virtually cease to exist almost completely. And when those level 10 pass into the fourth dimension will be equal in energy and form. So when I mentioned that the humanoid forms are those best adapted in the third dimension relates directly to the development time and not to any kind of superiority. Mythi, what else can you teach us about the Nishpaa beings, those who have the number 8 format spaceship? They're level 1. But only joined CG roughly 200 years ago. Are they like us and our history? Well, they entered to Community Galactica 275 of your years ago, and have gone through very similar moments with you during the development. The difference is that it was a less heterogenic colonization, and it did not create much of the social pressure that you guys are facing here. The elites that predominated in their planet has long since been absorbed by society as a whole, and for nearly 300 years the contacts with civilizations linked to CG started for the physical remodeling of the planet by creating some new oceans and rearranging the population with respect to new natural resources. They are governed by a board in which all decisions are guided in the will and needs of society as a whole. There are no bosses or lifelong members. The board members take turns by more specialized citizens in the guidelines that will be decided for implementation at the time. Then the board sections always have the best in the matters to be decided for social maintenance and in the context of development of the planet. They descended from some civilizations of Aldebaran and 2 black settlements arising from Syria, so they look like you, has white and bright mulatto. As there are over 1,000 years these 2 ethnic groups have merged completely. They never had major wars like you guys were here, and little regional differences dissipated for at least 300 years. It's a peaceful people, so it was difficult for her adventurers get permission to participate in a CG mission in your solar system. The planet stands a system governed by a sun 5th greatness. It has 3 moons, 2 small and 1 that has a 5th of the mass of the planet. The diameter of the planet is approximately 20,000 kilometers, average temperature of 24 of your centigrade degrees, and poles widely covered in ice occupying approximate 20% of the planet. Today the planet is fully climate-controlled and peace reigns. You see, my friends, your planet is allowing your society to the ultimate trump card before the physical and social remodeling. Your elites opted for eliminating the problem of too many people who were out of the consumer market for regional problems and are now considered a problem of social pollution. For them it is much faster and easily eliminates the problem than to face the integration of these populations, which would require many decades and many resources. As I have mentioned several times, do not be carried away by apocalyptic theories of the end times, asteroids on a collision course, among others. The only facts that can be considered real are the attitudes machined by your elites, and the actual rearrangement of tectonic plates on the planet. In the consumer society where you guys were forced to live, it's easier to be an opportunist for immediate gains than being a person conscious and concerned about others. This behavior creates a vicious cycle that causes the lack of inner peace, frustration, anger, instead of increasing the understanding and the possibility of a happier society to live. This causes the moral deterioration, and increasingly sensible and aware citizens feel more displaced by having to share the planet with this state of affairs. Many societies, billions of planets, billions of galaxies have been through so many wars and battles were fought between society and planets. Much unhappiness was and is still happening in these worlds without number, but each planet that reaches balance and is added as a grain of sandy to a regional community galactica is another firefly illuminating the great forest, and we make sure that one day everyone will regard our strong beams of light and increasingly come join